Okay, so it is my first day back to teaching Empowerment Through Enlightenment. And so it was kind of interesting that I had to take, let's say, a sabbatical for a month or two. And once I took and energetic-wise released the duty of teaching class, which I love doing, it gave me a way for Spirit to speak through me, just like I do with my, online shows. But it was a way to really express, because I get to stand in front of the classroom, I get to walk back and forth, I get to express a passionate energy flow. I get to talk as fast as I want, pause when I want, and just allow myself to be in that space. So when Spirit told me, time for a little path switch, we need to do something, and basically, in order for me to get my dissertation done, open myself up to telesummits and other places to broadcast what I'm doing, I had to release the energy to that classroom. What do I mean by release, Jen?
It was, well, because I've also had to release this few things. It's not really on our healing tools. We'll probably get that up there. But when you kept saying, well, you need to release this, and so I kept wondering, well, how am I supposed to do this? So in conversation and through all our healing, looking at what is it that needs to be released. And it's not, because I had to do this with a few of my endeavors, and it's not saying that I'm quitting. It's not saying that I'm giving up. It's not saying that I'm putting to an end this part of my life, but I'm releasing anything that's negative about it. And it may just, like you took a time off, that may be what it's needed so that new life can be brought back in. It's part of the weeding process.
True, and a lot of times people don't understand, and when they get in your face and say, well, you're not really devoted to what you're doing, or they're slamming you in some form, remember, that is your perspective of your soul projecting out thinking, I'm doing something wrong. And you project the energy out, and that soul has to show you that type of thinking that you're doing. So we learn to eliminate the blame. But at the same time, if it hurts, we have to realize we're still being controlled by some programs and some maybe thought patterns and voices from other people. But as far as releasing, it's giving yourself the permission to say, you know what, I'm okay. I release this. I learned this from one of my students. I've always talked about releasing, but I liked her example because she just couldn't take it anymore. She was married, and it was just getting to her. The marriage wasn't working, it hadn't been working. She kept telling herself it was working. And finally she went to the water, and she says, I just have to give myself permission to release this. She says, so I give myself permission, and I release it. And she could literally feel. Now, knowing that she has been to my classes, she knows that the feeling sets usually inside of you.
Right.
And so she took that feeling as if she had picked up it like a canister, and she released it into the water and let it go. And that's what we mean by releasing, is knowing where is it in your sensory system. Where is it? Is it inside the body? Is it outside your body? Is it pushing on your back? Is it in your head? Is it in your ovaries? Where is it setting? And for men, where is it setting? Most of the time it's a pushing. You got to be this, you got to be this, you got to be this. And sometimes those thoughts that other people think you should be doing are their dreams, their parents' dreams, or their whoever was pushing them. It's their dreams. And they want to live their dreams through you, because they think that is actually a better way to live. Now again, it's not wrong. You learn what works, what doesn't, what's right, what's wrong. You're like, oh God, if I teach my child not to screw up like I did and go down this road, like going into accounting, because that's the right thing to do, because you can get good money there and all the logical reasons are there, okay? And you want that child to do better, and you push them in an area that they don't want to go. That person that's shoving it don't understand this. They're doing their best to be the best parent or the best thing, and it's logical, come on, and it gets a little frustrating.
Well, historically, it used to be that you were supposed to go out, get a job,
Yep.
commit yourself to it because you were going to get benefits. You were going to get health care. You're going to, and this was
retirement was huge.
right,
too.
the pension and Social Security and all that kind of thing, and you were going to be able to provide for your family, whether it was the man or the woman, and it was the man for a while, and then became the woman, and you're supposed to go out in the workforce, give back to society. This is how you're supposed to participate. And then our generation, because we both are Gen X, was the first generation where we felt that if we were in the workplace and it wasn't working out, that it was okay to quit.
Yes.
And look for something else.
Yes.
That we didn't have to commit fully for 20 to 30 years, get your 35-year PIN, and then go off on retirement and pension and that kind of thing. So that was a new thing.
That is true.
For our generation. And so now that entrepreneurial, excuse me, that entrepreneurial spirit is what's hot. I'm looking at what's going on Twitter and that
That's
kind
true.
of thing.
That's true. And it brings up a great point. It's absolutely true. And what's funny is when people that have done something one way and has always done it, and somebody else comes in and does it another way, they say you can't do that. Well, get out of the way of those that are doing it. But at the same time, you're supposed to chastise it because there's a part of you that can't believe or conceive it, because at that point you couldn't do it for yourself. So even though someone's doing it in front of you, you're still saying, hey, you can't do that, because whatever the patterns were where you had to follow the rules and you had to act a specific way, you seem to have to say that's wrong. Somehow they were influenced, it's wrong, somehow. But yet, if you look throughout history, everything changes in one way or another. And the chastisement doesn't have to be there, and we don't have to take it in. Now, they were told that the right thing to do was this, and so when people say, well, you're quitting your job, well, you're a loser. The comments, that derogatory comments, those denigrating comments, those sarcastic comments were a safety mechanism for those that couldn't conceive the idea of that transformational change.
What's interesting is that my
You
sister...
can't have a voice.
Exactly. My sister made the decision that when she worked for Apple Computers, and it came to pass that she needed to no longer work there. It just... For what I don't know the details of the circumstances, but that came to pass. And my ex, at the husband at the time, just couldn't believe it. What do you mean? So what? She's going to go live out on the street? Is that what is going to happen to your sister? Oh, that's fantastic. That's a great model. So now she's modeling that that's something that you could do.
Yeah. That's what she was afraid of.
That's what he was.
That's what he was afraid
of. That I would get the idea that it's okay to do that, and then what? His worst fear was us being out on the street.
Yep, Skid Row.
Exactly. So it was really. So yeah, people can't conceive it, so they do the put down and just blast you if they, because they can't were taught they can't control it. They can't conceive it. And how dare you do something different than what I was taught to do? And this is because I was taught it, that means it's right.
Yeah, and it's always about the right and wrong system, because it boils down to your ego, okay? Now, I don't like to say that, but that's part of what the generation learned. Ego, to me, is electromagnetic guiding omni-apparition. You are electromagnetically controlling it with your thoughts, and you're guiding it to come into an existence out of matter. And it's going to create, and then will it matter? That's the question. So ego is this over-identification, meaning mentally and emotionally invested into these identities. Our physical body was not supposed to experience pain, but because we learned to conceive it or grow, when our soul asked, what if?
There's a curiosity at some point.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden when our soul started to invest more into the illusion than into what was our true identity, then our identities, and I do mean more than one, came out of when we over-identified. It's like we weren't looking through our eyes anymore. We were in the experience. And this is where they always say, you should be of the world, be in the world instead of the world.
Right. You're in it and you're participating, but you're not letting it own you or taking it on.
Exactly. And pain and suffering and all this is completely real. Don't get me wrong. I have pain. Do I need it? But what it is a sign and a symptom pointing to something that I'm over-identifying with. something that I somewhere conceived, whether it's in my soul line, my genetic line, not blaming, but it's the root or the core is somewhere. It could even come from group consciousness, but it's somewhere. And somehow it's serving me, but yet it's not, because in some cases, like, okay, let's put it this way. I remember being in high school and you had to go to swim class. Oh, good God, I did not want to put on that ugly bathing suit that was required.
And be in front of all those people.
And be in front of all those people. And you're talking about a white, pale woman, or girl at that time, okay? Her boobs just popped in, so that was not something to get used to. And then you're going to put it in water? In a wetsuit? What? No, 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 no. You know, there's all those problems that you get with the nipple situation. And all the boys in the room, of course, and that, I couldn't take on that energy. So, I got hurt. And I realized I had got hurt, so I didn't have to go to swim class. And did I intentionally do it? Not really. Soulfully, intentionally, I did it, because we have 41 thoughts per minute, and I remember being worried, anxiety, and I'm like, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, and lo and behold, you know, I ended up hurting myself, and I had to go sit up in the bleachers, which was fine with me, you know, do some report writing and stuff, because I had hurt my ankle and hurt my wrist, so I couldn't really do anything, so I was lame on one side. But that's how it serves you. In another way, it's when you have followed all the rules and you're such a good person and doing always the right thing, but you don't know how to say no. I had a client one time, and the fibromyalgia was so bad for her. And I said, let's look at what your soul is trying to tell you. It's, you know, the pain in this case is telling you that it's not serving you as much as it is telling you you're doing something you're not supposed to do. You don't know how to do something. She didn't know how to say no. She was working at a job her husband told her she had to have, and that the only way that they are going to survive is if she, sounds like your story, is that she works. And so she would go every single day and put in 12 hours, and she would work hard and long. And then she was supposed to come home, cook supper, and do all these other things. And for some reason, he's sick and he could never work. So it sounds like your life, but I'm not talking about you.
I know, I'm like,
but it's
really,
not
this is another person?
Yeah.
So it happens
And so her
to other people.
her body was screaming, "Stop! You can't do this anymore. You're going against your true identity. You're going against your authenticity." This is so huge for people. You need to understand your authenticity of who you are. If you're going against your grain, some people will just say, toughen up, so too bad, do it anyway.
Suck it up.
But people want to know where disease comes from. It mainly comes from when we have to do the have-tos. And I teach about the have-tos. And when you have to do this and you have to do that and your body's screaming. I was explaining sometime during one of my shows, and it was simply this. My body kept breaking down because I was living an unauthentic life. Did I say that right? Or oh, I got it. Okay, unauthentic life. And what it meant is that I didn't want to hurt people. So here I am. I got my voice, you know, and we have our own voices, which is our own unique way of looking at the perspective of something. And so I'm blah 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 blah, and then somebody didn't like my verbs, my words, my nouns, my way of Britisms, and then when I would start to, oh my God, you know, feedback, brainstorm, looking at it from another perspective, they were still living in the realm of, that hurts, I don't want to do it, can't do it anymore. And literally, that caused me to see their pain, and I had a program that says, oh my God, I'm hurting somebody, can't do that. So literally I started to shut down, not consciously, but unconsciously, shut down, store their grief in my spine, store it, and then do my best to not be me around them. And my body's going, what are you doing? What are you doing? And literally my body will start being in pain and ache, and I've learned to listen to it. So the woman could not say no, because she could go and find another job. She could do something else. And then there was another time that she did. She did like 3 healings. The fibromyalgia went away. And then finally she said, I can't do this job anymore, so she quit. She started doing another job, which was fine. But when she started to get to step up to have her voice, it scared her so bad, the fibromyalgia started to come back. And I said, well, let's address this. And she couldn't. So she had to, I mean, everything else was happening to her. Her husband was dying, she's going to lose her house, kids are having problems. So everything was happening to her at once, so completely overwhelmed that it was pain was coming from every direction. And the pain, if you understand fibromyalgia, it's like it's chronic pain from somewhere. But it's all of the way that we interact with energies. We'll talk more after this.
2, 1.
And now we're back. Okay, so, whoops, I dropped a pen. We're talking about how
Being
pain.
authentic.
Yeah, and without, because you got signs and symptoms. Our bodies were not designed to have pain. It was designed to receive information. And when that information got to the point where it was overwhelming, then we had to come up with a reaction to it, so we conceived that we can't do it. It's too much. Throwing us off center one way or another. When that happens, that the overwhelming, it's too much, we go into a shutdown mode because we are designed to survive. And that stress of fight, flight, and freeze will continue and move forward. This reminds me of a story when I had my gallbladder removed, I should say. I had a gallbladder attack first. So I'm laying in bed and I'm grabbing, you know, that part of your body right underneath your chest, solar plexus, that chest part on the right side, and I'm just thinking I'm dying. I'm like, oh my God. And it was very consistent, it had a pulse, and it was going on forward, and it wouldn't stop. It's like, reminds me of giving birth, you know, and you had like, oh, she's like 1 minute till birth. And I'm like, seriously, something gonna explode inside of me? So what ended up happening is that I went for another hour in pain, and then another hour in pain, and finally I went downstairs and I said, I can't get rid of this pain, Scott, I need to go to the hospital. I believe I'm going to have to go to the hospital. And he said, are you serious? Well, maybe we should wait. Okay, I wanted to backhand him right there. Finally he said, all right, let's go. So we get in the car, and as I'm sitting in the waiting room area, it seemed like every ambulance had to come. Another person, another person. I'm crying, I'm screaming, I'm trying to hold my breath. I can't look like an idiot because that was part of my growing up. But I'm screaming inside, and I'm trying to wipe my tears so people don't know what's going on. I couldn't sit still, was going to jump out of my chair at any moment. My husband's trying to calm me down. I can't do it. I'm just going nuts. Everything is going crazy, and I just can't do it anymore. And the pain was just astronomical, to the point that the nurse felt bad for me and put me into a quiet, private room. Not a room where you know, the hospital room, but it's in a waiting room, another one. And so I just laid on the floor and I rolled and I cried with the door shut, and you know, and just my husband can't do a thing for me, you know. And another, I think we were like 4 or 5 hours. I don't even remember now. If I ask him, he might remember. But I just couldn't do it anymore. And finally, the doctor or the nurse came in. They took me in the back. They gave me so many injections with painkillers, and I said, why isn't it working? Why is it taking so many? The 4th shot, you know, she comes up, she goes, well, we have to get ahead of it. When your body is constantly producing that same symptom over and over and over and over, you can't get ahead of it.
Right, that's, I remember when I was doing my clinical pastoral education, that was a common thing that I would hear the nurses say, is that it's okay to use, for the pain management, it's okay to use that extra because you do want to stay ahead of it. You don't want to be behind it, because then it's just going to take twice as long to get back up to it. And they want to keep you at that stable place, so if they need to do anything.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, it was very eye-opening at, which we call epiphanies. I was like, we got to get ahead of it. we got to get ahead of it. And that was the only gallbladder I attacked because the universe rearranged it in 4 days. I had it removed. So what we're going to take is a small little break. So just a little quick promo. We'll be back in a minute. Yes, and the small little break was because my husband's home and he wants to bake. Our studio is in the dining room. To the right is the kitchen. So our microphone.
Left.
Our microphone. Well, I pointed. The microphone on the camera picks up everything so loud. You know, everything, and which is good, but it's also bad. You probably heard him vacuuming earlier, because like I said, I get to teach tonight. Now he's going to make us fudge for the classroom, but anyways, it was just getting to the point where cling, cling, cling. I know when I'm listening to radio shows, I don't like when I hear the dog barking in the background. I don't like when I hear noise in the background.
Right, so it's a consideration.
Yes, and so it's like I get a matter of fact, so I have to be cut short because I know you only got seconds to do it in, and you don't have time to have to explain the story, or you have to explain why to get permission to talk about it so you can shut their ass out the door. So, he thinks I'm spazzing. No, I'm solving your issue. You know, now get out. So, point blank, got what he needed, and had him go. I wish we could move the studio someplace else in the house so I didn't have to disturb it. But, yeah, you know, God provides, we'll do it some other time. Who knows, maybe we can start using the other side of the house.
Who knows?
Who knows, I'll get it fixed up. Alright, back to overwhelming. I just had an overwhelming experience, so you had a live example of what had happened.
And it was that consideration, because we want to be considerate of our listening audience, and we do appreciate you listening, and thank you. We want to be considerate, and so sometimes it's you gotta get it done. You gotta do it. You gotta and like.
For me, it was
a live
overwhelming.
example.
It was overwhelming because I was thinking about being considerate. Now the videotape, it may look humorous, but at the same time, I wanted it a certain way. Was I trying to control it completely? No, it's just that I asked for respect because I am doing the studio. They all moved in here, so I need a little bit more respect. Okay?
And it's using that voice, as our voices were kind of congested a little at the beginning of the show. It's stepping up. It's
Can I be authentic?
Can we be authentic? Can we say, excuse me, I need to have my voice here, and this is what I'm doing with my life. Can I please insert myself into your reality?
Exactly, and that's one of the issues that I've been working on for a long time, but really seriously, consciously staring at it and actively participating in how I notice is everybody's energy. They're great, lovable, sweet people, everything, but their life has to cut mine off. They're inserted into my space, and I have to now follow everything they do. And it's like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. So when I got a few seconds, and I know that I've only got a few seconds, and it's crucial that this all takes place. So for him, he still doesn't understand, you're just being mean. No, I have to be cut. I have to be, because when you're stressed, terse, that's good, yes. Like when in the hospital, you don't argue with the doctors. You don't
or the
have time
nurses, they don't have time. They are about their business, and they don't be offended what I'm doing. I am freaking saving your life.
Right, you got a little second. So what you can do in that stress mode is to train yourself to be short. Not have to have your nicest manners and all of this. You don't have to be completely mean, but at the same time, you know what you're doing, and you know you're going to be effective. It's the other people that come in and thinking, whatever it is they're thinking, well, don't do that, don't. And it's not a problem. 2 seconds. Let's just get this done. And but it is. I have to be terse. Is that the word you just used? Mm-hmm. I have to be terse. I have to. I mean, I didn't know what promo or what sweeper. I didn't know what she put up. All I knew is that she took care of that end. I needed to go take care of that end, and so be it. That's what we're going to do. What happens is that can you have that voice? I did, but at the cost of what? Well, if this person doesn't understand, then I have to be terse. Then it can just start destroying a relationship. Why?
Well, when they're not, because I was just thinking of some of the healing that I'm doing, that if they're not in their spiritual mindset, and they're just hearing somebody be short, quick about their words, when you put the emphasis just on, the interpretation is, wow, she's being mean. No, I'm putting an emphasis on the words in a specific way to get things done, and it's that person's perceptions, it's that person's interpretation as to what's going on, because
Correct.
we use our words in a certain way to communicate and articulate what our intention is.
And another quantum level of looking at the mirror, it is also their reaction is something that you still haven't quite accepted, or I don't want to say accepted as much as you need to heal. Because if they're having that nasty reaction of being sad, hurt, and grief, and you haven't detached the cord, that part of that cord to it, it will affect you, and it will drop you into being so human that you'll start over-identifying with it. That means you have to add some of your life force to it to keep that particular hell alive.
Right, and I have, my issue that I'm working on is that I don't want to hear their reaction. So I will not say what I want to say, because I don't want the fallout. I don't want their reaction.
When her ears, and
To
you know, she has, sometimes her ear itches, sometimes it just annoys her, sometimes
It's inflamed, sometimes, like with the different energies, I've explained it before, I think even on this show, or one of our shows, what happens on the inner ear level of the ear, that's just, it's
intense.
it's beyond description how intense it is.
So this is how the energy is coming towards her. Now sometimes it comes in an attacking way. And when that energy becomes, like, and as I was telling you about the fibromyalgia lady and me, and what's in common is how the energy is supposed to be flowing in sync, in infinity. It's supposed to go into like a figure 8. But when the baton, if you imagine two runners, handing off the baton, the one energy is coming in, and if the other energy is not ready to receive it, then it'll look like a blow, like an attack.
Or
and
just
if the energy keeps pushing, it'll
or
be
it just
like a
goes
bully.
right to the edge, because that person has their defenses up that you can't even get in to get the infinity.
And then that energy that's coming in can be like a bully. So when you're taking all of these different dimensional frequencies of thoughts, and they're not, how do I want to put it, they're not in sync, then it'll be like putting your finger in a light socket. Your energy doesn't match the light socket. And so when you put your energy frequency at that level into the light socket, which is a different level, you will get zapped. Does this make sense? And when you're in sync with one another, you don't notice it. It's like plugging the cord into an electrical outlet. It's receiving. It's not attacked, blowing up. It's, hey, it's all right. It knows what job it's supposed to do. So we have a tendency to do this. Now, where do these programs come from? Like we said, genetic line through the soul of lifetimes that you've accumulated, and in a soul's perspective, it never dies, so it's all the times that the soul dreamed and became human. So it can come from group consciousness, it comes things that are unresolved, but it's when your soul says that needs to resolve, to grow, to have the evolution, to get out of the stage of baby stage, student to teacher to guru. It's learning to master, to become. When it came to the itchy ears, we were, we've talked about it before, but we got an epiphany to some degree, which then really hit home. Somebody's talking about itching ears, oh, you can't make a commitment. And that word stood out. I said, okay, so what can't you commit to? Won't we what you agree with? And so we started to let the spirit to unfold it, and we had a couple jam sessions, but nothing big. They're incredible, jam sessions were. But, so when you think about, was it when you read this or the itchy ears?
Well, I read these statements first, and that makes sense, and
Okay.
then I read into that.
So we're going to talk about right ear itching. Now, again, this can be inside, outside the skin. It can be wherever it is. But the right ear itching is about, leave me alone! Okay? Now, have you ever had that experience?
Yeah.
If you can see that facial expression, she's had a lot of accumulation of stories and memories that haven't been resolved yet. So let's find out on a scale from 0 to 10, is it over 100? 100,000. No, that's good. 10,000. About 20,000. So you got about 20,000 of accumulated memories. And here's the thing. Are they all yours? No. Are they yours at all? Yes. So she has some that are hers that she's collected and accumulated herself, but she also got them from somebody else. So she's a baby, looks around, watches other humans interact, and she sees their reaction, and she's going to be picking up patterns that is, oh, that's me, that's not me, that's me, that's not me. And so somebody reacted probably by being, leave me alone. She related to it so much. It's like when you're watching a good story on TV and you're like, oh my God, I so relate. Because it describes you. It gets you.
Right, and I'm having this epiphany memory because my mom is open to sharing information about my childhood and what I was like as a baby, and when we're going through on the subconscious level to say, oh, well, yes, your subconscious collected this at this age, and then it's awesome that I can actually ask my mom, hey, what was going on at this age? And she'll tell me the background of what's going on. Then I can put the memories into service as far as letting this heal and go.
If you listen to her voice, what's happening is that we just got a clue. Two little flies that came out of nowhere decided to just fly around her head.
Flee, 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 fly, flew, flew, fly.
Deal with issues!
Oh, there.
Issues of the past few weeks are growing more troublesome. Tend to responsibilities. Means responsibilities is about your willingness to respond. How do you want to show up? That's what that means. Look to subtle clues for solutions. Now, if I go any further, you know what I found in the shower? Completely threw me off. A mosquito! I opens the curtain, I step in, I'm like, what's that? And it was a huge mosquito. You know, it wasn't one of those mosquito eaters, but
It's the end of November in Michigan. What's the likelihood?
I'm looking at that going, seriously? All right, you know, I hope you drowned. You know, I says, oh, that's not nice. Okay, you know what?
Go to the light.
If you're going to be here, you're committing suicide, you know, go to the light. Or safely get the heck out of my space. And, you know, so mosquito is about self-worth. Protect yourself against attacks on your self-worth. Irritations and unresolved issues become aggravating, focused on personal joys. And that's kind of what I was doing, I was focused on personal joys. Knowing that God's got my back. So getting back to...
Okay, so the memory that I was having was, so my mom told me that when I was a baby, for a little while I was in my parents' bedroom, but then because babies, you know, coo, la la, bleh, all the noises that little babies make when they're sleeping, my parents eventually said, enough, we need to sleep, we love you, but...
You're out of here.
You're... Bye-bye. And so then they put me in the room with my sister, and so even though on some level it's like, how can I go back to, but I can imagine being that baby and put into that room, and I can imagine my sister with the same reaction as my parents. What the heck? What did I do? What's my punishment? I get this little baby stuck in the room with me, and then you know, so there could be on her end, leave me alone, that I picked up, leave me alone, but then the identifying of, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. When I was attempting to go to sleep and wanted it quiet in that room, and if she was doing something to disturb me, I could also say, leave me alone.
Oh
so
God.
we both, do you know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
So you talk about the mirror going back and forth, and was this all mine? Potentially not.
No, but if you familiarized yourself with it, then you would claim it as your own.
Right.
So they are being bothered by the inputs from the environment concerning their needs, wants, and relationship interests. So the energy that was coming in was not in sync with you. You saw it more annoying than anything. So it'll set you up to help you understand that down the road, your soul wanted something from a past life or genetics that needed to be resolved. So how are you going to bring it in? You're going to project it through so other people can show it. So you're looking and using this, you're the projections projector, and life is the projection screen. And you're going to learn to, on the quantum level, learn how to read it and then resolve certain things. So now let's look at left ear itchy. Okay? Vulnerability alarm. So you're feeling very vulnerable. What does vulnerable mean in your terms?
Well, vulnerable means prone to attack, the defenses are down, You're left wide open for anybody to come in and just put their crap onto you.
And you can start feeling the affliction before it even happens because you know what pain is. You recognize what it is. So you feel vulnerable to have a voice or doing what you need to do. Vulnerability alarm. They are being alarmed by their inner thoughts and feelings concerning the possibility of forming relationships. So now let's break that down even further. Relationships. Well, I wondered if we do take this break, we're not going to take a normal song break,
Okay.
or should we? Because we end up taking another little peek break. Yeah, go ahead, do the song break. We'll be back after this.
Rick?
Okay, so looking at the inner thoughts. So having a relationship with a guy. What are
Yeah.
your inner thoughts right now?
It just feels like a lot of work at this point, and I've been for the last year. It's been about almost a year now. I've really been working on myself. I've been working on my stuff. What needs to be released before I even consider having a relationship with a guy, and a lot of it. It's still those remnants of what I expect of guys to be, and that's kind of come to the forefront this week with, if you read my blog, angelheartofit.com/blog, just really looking at what I was raised to be, what I'm supposed to do, how I'm conditioned to treat and react to a man. And it was funny, the other night, that was all of yesterday, I think, maybe, listening to some of the old Christmas songs,
Oh, yes, it was yesterday. She was in the kitchen baking chongo bars. Very yummy, by the way. And I'm in there cleaning. My husband's cleaning in another
we're all
direction.
doing our own thing, but we have the music playing.
And we're all listening and enjoying everything. My husband starts laughing. I hadn't really realized what she had said until my husband started laughing.
You know, oh baby, it's cold outside. You know, it's like,
Hey, linger around a little
linger
longer.
around,
Come
give me a hug,
on.
and it'll keep me warm on the ride home. Really, really, you know, and it's like, okay, maybe I should let that go.
Well, I can't remember the comment. It was pretty dang funny because I heard it, but it didn't.
It registered.
No, until he started laughing.
It's like,
They're all about sex, aren't they?
exactly.
I'm thinking, don't be listening to rap.
Well, I know what I'm getting into when I listen to certain genres of music, but I'm listening to these old
This
Christmas.
is old Christmas music.
Right, that are from the.
Man, haven't changed. I don't know.
Exactly. So it's all those are those inner thoughts, and they're coming to life. And it's like, what are those expectations? And then a meme that I posted today, one of my friends reposted. That's been an interesting thread I've been participating in. But the meme is, I need feminism because women are taught how to avoid rape instead of, for men, don't rape during freshman orientation. So at the college level, it spoke volumes. This girl was holding this sign up saying, "This is why." And so it's not on my thread.
So it's like second ring out.
Right, so it's that posting, and the men are posting, oh, what, so, you know, get rid of self-defense classes, and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, then why are we perpetuating it? Where's the responsibility to make the shift so that it can shift?
Well, like teaching the man to be more sensitive and loving towards a woman. I mean, there's those memes are running around out there too,
right.
Which is simply about, hey, the best way. How do they say? How do they put it? They always make it go. You can always tell the quality of a man by the way he treats the woman. There's another meme out there too, because teach your men, teach your sons, to respect women.
Right, and some of these men are saying, well, it's in the culture, it's in society, they're taught by movies, they're taught by the media. Okay, well then let's shift that as a group.
Exactly, and again, and how do we individually help save the world? Well,
take care of our own shit.
We take care of our own shit. We're not here to go just out and fight and protest and do what we need to do. the biggest thing is stop taking and stop believing in it, and not ignore it, not walk away, not avoid it, not sweep it under the rug. It's not what I'm saying.
Let it go. No, create resolution. Put an end to it. Use a healing tool.
Change how you know it. You don't like it, you're feeling it. You can feel it. You're creating a knowing. And all you're doing when you do resolve this is taking your emotions, which is energy in motion. You're taking your emotions off of a belief system that is in concrete, which, guess what? We can bust that concrete if necessary. And we're changing our vote and saying, no. I take and I tap out my energy that's in motion, this emotion of aggression, of anger, of being mad. And what we're doing is we're literally breaking that cord, saying we're done with that, file that memory away, saying, you know what, we already know that it's changed. Now we're going to watch it come into existence, at least in our world. And this is how you help change and save the world, is that you literally start changing how you know it. And you'll change the dimensional frequencies that you line up to, so you become more in sync, what's more healthier for you. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yes. Sorry, I got a response in the chat room. I was excited.
Yeah. It seems very quiet in the chat room today, but that's all right. I mean, we're still getting used to the time from 5 to 7. A lot of our fans are either driving home,
And apparently they can't be in the chat room typing while they're on the highway.
right,
As my dad.
or they have to go shopping, or they have to pick up kids, or they got to do
Right.
something at that time. But 5 to 7 is still, to me,
It's a drive. They can. Well,
a good time.
Find a way to listen to it. As my dad says, putting the laptop on the passenger seat next to you would really be huge texting
yeah, problems.
problems. He said, "Don't do it."
Exactly. Oh yeah, officers just use it for navigational system. Wait, where'd the program go? No, Facebook doesn't look like a navigational system.
Okay.
But anyway, when it comes back down to left ear itching, we're talking about vulnerability alarm. When we go back to her inner thoughts are going, I'm showing myself how I know I'm vulnerable. I'm showing how I know that I know where pain is.
And how I have to protect myself.
Exactly.
And so you asked about the idea of getting in a relationship right now. I don't know if I mean, I feel like I'm ready and I could start exploring
you
the
could.
idea, but it's...
But he doesn't have to be the one to marry. He's just could be just the one to have fun with right now, which could potentially turn into something later.
Right, and that's fine. But it's been about almost a year since leaving the marriage, and just the work that I've been doing has been really intense. But so these feel like they're those remnants, they're those little flies, they're those little gnats that just need to be swept up, cleaned up, and
if you're watching the camera, you notice the flies never came back because we acknowledged them. We acknowledged the flies, and the flies, okay, she got the message, I'm off.
Yeah.
Now, also when she's viewing with the 41 thoughts, when she's not consciously viewing it, but what's going on is the baggage will come up. So the baggage of how she knew she was hurt, and past relationships, the pictures, and all of those things, and maybe some courting it is going on that needs to be healed, but it's in reinforcing that she is vulnerable, and that pain comes with vulnerability. What we teach in the groups that we teach on, starting to teach online, as well as here at the Giving Hope Wellness Center, is simply that it's about being vulnerable, is allowing yourself to let people see who you are, the true, authentic you, and knowing that you don't have to be harmed. There's no baggage attached to who you are. Now, I came across a meme which blew my mind, actually two of them. One simply stated, when a woman is telling you, or a girl, woman, female, is telling you about her problems, she's being vulnerable so she can get close to you and find out that she can trust you. And I can't...
It's like these are my deepest thoughts, and I'm putting them in a little treasure box, and I'm sharing them with you because I trust you.
And the thing is that's usually how you can bring the relationship to be thicker,
Intimate.
because it's very intimate when you're being vulnerable. And that's what happened with my husband and I. I was just like, I had to share a few things, and his reaction was everything. And it was safe, and I knew that I could do this. Now, I'm not giving this information so that men can use it and harm women. I'm using it so that if men wanted to get close to women, they can understand, oh, she isn't complaining.
You're right, she's not
She
complaining.
does,
What am I
she does
hearing?
want to get close to me.
Yeah, what am I hearing? What is she telling me, and why?
Can I relate? Can I help? Can I comfort? You know, and that's what my husband still is doing, that valiant move of, what do they call it back in the old days? The guy would take his coat off.
Chivalry.
Chivalry. And
It's like
it's
$25,000 pyramid.
yeah, it's great that my husband can do this chivalry for me. But as a soul coach, I'm like, I love that, but I can also tell you why it's happening another way. So it kind of cuts him off, and I don't mean to, but I'm just going excited because I get to hear all these different ways of doing it. But it is learning to, how can you be there for that other person? How can you have their back? How can you show them respect, love, and you're going to do a little bit more for them. And it doesn't have to be just in the courting. This is huge for me. It doesn't have to be just in the courting period, which before you get the girl, where you put on your best airs.
Oh yeah, you put your best foot forward, then you get her, and then all of a sudden, kablow! You know, you can just
scratch your balls, walk
Right.
around the house.
fart
I don't care what.
every 2 seconds.
We don't mind that, God, honest to God, because we do it too. But
I
it's
don't
when,
scratch my balls.
well, I may scratch his balls. Just kidding. Gotta get a laugh in there somewhere.
Right.
The point is that it's learning to be authentic with each other and not have any surprises. When you get to the stage where you fart, that's taking it to the whole new relationship. But you don't have to go overboard. Mind you, that video did that. In the video of how the girl just went overboard.
The barrier is broken.
And he just found her disgusting. Get over it, she says.
Yeah.
But another meme that popped up that came from the past was, as we grew up and when a boy would hit you, it meant what, Jen?
That meant that they liked you. So then you get to be attracted to the jerk factor.
Yes.
Awesome, he likes me. Look, he's treating me like crap.
And I'm like, what the hell? My question is that really true? I'd love to hear back from the men out there. Because,
Right, there are guys in the chat room. Hello.
I mean, when you were growing
I have
up,
to read it.
part of me wonders, you know, growing up, when you liked a girl, did you hit? And I think the reason why you did that was because you didn't know how else to respond. Yeah.
And it was a guy thing, hey, mama, chucklehead.
Yeah, because it's meant to do that. But it is true, because there's a lot of nice guys out there that are trying to find women. Why are you attracted to assholes? Well, then that explains a lot of it. I did not even put the two and two together. That blew me away. It was like, oh my God, our faces. Oh my God, really?
Right, and I have the guys that I grew up going to. Yes, I still go to church camp. I started when I was 5. Now I'm.
It's
an all-
any age up
it's
to
a- it's an
99
all-
or 199. What are you
Yeah,
going to be?
exactly. I can't wait till we start living to 199.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, so the guys that I grew up with, going to camp and retreats and that kind of thing with, are just saying, they would see us girls go out. Some guy shows up in a leather jacket and a motorcycle to camp. Not even there. They've been coming. These guys have been dedicated coming to camp. It's like they've been secretly courting us all through. You know, our
But their shyness is
the
the only way they can
tweens
show
and
through.
the teens, right? And they're
It's
so
their
shy.
dedication.
It's their dedication. They don't know how to talk to a girl. But the guy shows up, you know, and all of us girls are like, hee, let's go out there. And they're like, son of a bitch, you know, and they get all the girls. We've been putting time in, you know. But they know, and now we can talk as adults, like, oh my God, girls, we're nice to you. Why do you have to go after those guys?
And we'll talk more about this after our break.